Heather from Easyhealthybread.com. This week we're going back to gluten-free with a gluten-free cinnamon roll recipe. Because gluten-free bread doesn't have yeast and you can't really roll it out like you would a yeasted bread, what we're going to do is swirl together one dough that I make, but one half I'm going to flavor with cinnamon and sugar. So let's get started. You're going to start by whipping up 4 eggs in your bowl. When they're all combined, it's going to take about 3 minutes just whipping them. So while those eggs are beating, we're going to mix together the dry ingredients. Like I said, this is gluten-free, so we're going to be using almond meal. You can use almond flour or almond meal, but I specifically had a reader request for almond meal because I guess it's a byproduct if you make your own almond milk, and she had a lot left over. So we're going to put all of our dry ingredients through the sifter just because they are a little clumpy, and so I think it's going to make things a little fluffier. So we're going to start with 1.5 cups of almond flour. I am just going to pour it into the cup. And just get it as close as I can without going overboard. Just see how close I am here. Sure, good enough there. So just right into the sifter, a cup, and then another 1/2 cup. You can see it's kind of clumpy as it's coming out, and that's just one of the reasons why we're sifting it today. So if you're buying this at the store, you can either get almond meal or almond flour. Bob's Red Mill makes a good one. So there we go, another 1/2 cup. Then we're going to do 3/4 cup of cornstarch. This I can't really fit into my can, so I'm just going to spoon it in. So 3/4 cup. Kind of hard to be accurate with this because has that weird starch consistency, but just do the best you can here. See, yeah, 1/4. This one's a little too much. Again, 2/4, 1/2 there, and then the last 1/4. And then we're going to add 1/4 cup of flaxseed meal. This stuff is not as fine as flour, so it's gonna kind of be a little chunky in there. It's gonna work better if I spoon it in. But flaxseed is super good for you, and it just adds a little heartiness to this bread dough, so definitely worth it. And you can see I have the Bob's Red Mill version. I just got it at my regular grocery store, and that works perfectly. So got 1/4 cup there, perfect. Now when you're sifting this through, you're going to find that it's a little clumpier, heavier, and the grind is thicker, I guess. So it's going to take longer than it would when you're milling with flour. So we're just going to start, and when you first start, you can see it's really full. It's actually kind of hard to turn, but you'll kind of get going. And so we're just going to mill this in, and it will also mix everything together, so that works perfectly. So once you get towards the end of the milling process, you're going to find that you have some bigger pieces left at the bottom. We still are going to include those. Just keep milling until you're pretty sure that almost all the fine particles have been pushed out. And then you're going to end up with like a handful. It's mostly the flax, just because that's a little bit bigger, because it's not really a flour. It's just kind of ground up flaxseed. So we're still going to toss that in, but we're going to get everything through that's flour first. So I think I'm about there. I still have some clumps of flour. Maybe try and get those, but maybe not. So I have about this much left, and you can see it's kind of the thicker stuff. So I'm just going to pour it in. Bingo. Okay, so now we've got all those dry ingredients. So we're going to add a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and that's what makes this rise. So half teaspoon and a half teaspoon of salt. So now that we've got all the dry ingredients together, we're going to bring back those eggs and pull this all together. Okay, so we've brought the eggs back. I just beat them until they are all the same consistency. So you can see they're kind of fluffy and orange in there. So to that, we're going to add a teaspoon of honey, because this is a cinnamon roll after all, so they do need to be sweet. And I've just greased my teaspoon so it will slide right out and make your life a little easier. So 1 teaspoon of honey. Sweet. And then 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. This is going to react with that baking soda and make them rise and be fluffy. So, bam, put that in there. I'm just going to jog the mixer once to combine. And now we're going to start adding the dry ingredients. We're going to add them a little bit at a time while the mixer's going, and we're just going to keep mixing it until it's combined. So we're done mixing. This is the consistency we're at. You can see everything's just combined. So to get these to be a cinnamon roll, you need to split the dough in half, and that's what we're going to do next. We're going to get set up for that and be right back. Okay, so I've pulled the mixture off the mixer. It's still in the bowl, you can see. And we're actually going to fill a piping bag that you would normally use for frosting and pastry stuff with half this dough. So if you put it in a glass, that can make it a little easier. So fold down the top and stick it in the glass, and that's going to hold up the bag so you can spoon it in a little bit easier. Like that. So we got that, and we're just going to spoon in half the dough. I'm just going to eyeball it and just start kind of putting this together here. And I'm just going to pour in about half. So what I did was I kind of drew a line down the middle of the bowl, and I'm just going to kind of pull anything from one side of the bowl into this guy. So you can see it's not a ton, and I'm going to stop there. So once you've pulled half into this bag, I'm just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl, and then we're going to add our cinnamon sugar to this half of the dough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a tablespoon of cinnamon and a tablespoon of sugar to this, put it back on the mixer, and whisk it together. You could just mix it by hand if you didn't want to do that again. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back and we'll put it in the other bag. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. I mixed in the cinnamon and sugar with the leftover batter. I'm just going to take the mixers out now. See, it's a little soupy. Just set those aside. So I took the other bag out of the cup and I just twisted the top like this so it'll stay in. So we're going to get ready to fill the remaining batter. Just bend over the top so it fits nice in your cup. Just use a tall cup. I have a beer pint type of glass that works, just so you can get it in there easily. And just wipe that off. So you're going to see when I start doing this that it's significantly darker than the batter that we didn't flavor. So it'll kind of give it that cinnamon look also when we swirl it together. So here we go. Just going to pour it in. And I'm just using my spatula so I can kind of get it all. If it's hard to get it all in the small cup, you can also just use a spoon and just spoon it out. It might be a little easier. Especially if your mixing bowl is heavy. This one's nice because it's plastic and light. I'm just going to get it all in there. And I can just wipe it on the edge of the cup because I have so much folded over, it's not going to affect the end of the bag. So just get everything in there. Okay. And if you have a little bit that wasn't mixed in the cinnamon and sugar, it's still kind of light, it doesn't really matter. Just mix it in there. Because this half of the batter is pretty strong because it's only half is flavored, so it'll be fine. So just get it all in there, and see, scraped it clean, nothing goes to waste here. So then you just go like this, pick it up, it's going to fill down to the end pretty easily, and then you just take the top. You don't really want any air in the top, so let any air out, and then twist. So we're going to let these bags that we're going to make our cinnamon rolls with chill in the fridge for about an hour. That's just going to give us a little more control when we're piping them in the muffin tins because they're not going to be flowing so quickly. So we'll see you back in an hour when we put these finally together. Okay, so we're back. I've just pulled the bags out of the fridge. They've been in there for about an hour and they've set up a little bit. So first you're going to want to take the bag, press down a little bit so you have some room like that, and we're just going to snip off the tip. Right about there. Okay, just leave that up so it doesn't spill, and we're just going to do the other guy. Bam.
Now you're going to want to grip both of the pastry bags in one hand. Use your dominant hand on the bottom, kind of like a pencil, and your other hand on the top to help stabilize. Press evenly down, and both batters will come out at the same time. You're going to want to put this into your greased muffin tin. Definitely grease your muffin tin. These rolls get pretty sticky, or you can just use paper liners like you would for cupcakes. Keep going as you fill the 6 cupcake tins. You can kind of swirl the dough back and forth, each color. They'll marble when they bake, and when you cut them open, you'll be able to clearly see both sides.
So to take them out of the pan, I just took my butter knife, ran it around the edge like this, and you can pop them right out. They are a little bit on the sticky side, so they're going to take a little jiggling, even though I did grease it pretty well, but bammo, there they come. So we'll just do one for now because that pan's a little hot on my hands. So you can see they're nice, and they're really a bread, not a muffin. They smell like a cinnamon roll, I can guarantee you that. I can't wait to dig into one. So let's cut one open and we can see what it looks like on the inside. Perfect. Look at that. Just a beautiful marbling in there, and you know the dark is where you've got the cinnamon. So this would be perfect, maybe with a little cream cheese frosting to dip, or a little butter, or definitely just plain. So thanks for watching this video. I really enjoy making them for you, and please check out the site, easyhealthybread.com. Thanks. See you next week.